Everyone, welcome to FMA Talk Live. I'm your host, Datu Tim, and this is my wonderful co-host,
PG Ties here. Welcome, everyone.
I hope everyone's had a great weekend. I know I had a very good, very tiring weekend.
I was going to ask you about that. Any highlights?
I got upgraded in almost every flight on the way to there and back.
Excellent.
So for those who weren't aware, I went out to Reno to teach at The Gathering. Hanchi Bruce Shutnick puts this event together. I'm experimenting with the camera as we speak. Had some audio stuff a little messed up before, but that's all good. So this is a multi-style event. I was one of the primary FMA instructors there. Jason and I was there.
Good.
And we're going to talk about that. Miguel Ruby was there from FMA Supply.net. He was teaching as well. And then a couple of Hanchi Jutnick students were teaching. So there's 3 FMA specialists and then others who cross-train. There was supposed to be more, but some last-minute things, some health issues on one of the instructors. A lot of weird stuff happened that weekend, which we'll talk offline as far as not weird. It was a good weekend, but some people had some hang-ups on the way out. And I think it's residual stuff from the hurricane.
Yeah.
And some other things here, which we'll talk about. So, which you and I will talk about afterwards.
Gotcha.
It's going to throw a huge. So next year, it's going back to Sacramento, but it's going to throw a huge wrench in our plans. We have to discuss this because it is scheduled for the weekend of our instructors camp.
Oh,
so
earlier in the year than this. Okay,
yeah, it's in September. So, which is good. But I want to talk because obviously you did your event, and we want to make sure that we have our instructors camp and your event, and make sure that none of this interferes with each other as well. And there's other events too. So, tell us about how your event went.
Well, it was pretty good. I mean, the hurricane has worked its way up here, but it was really it was just dark. It was cooler, not cold. A little bit windy and rainy, but not super rainy. So we went ahead with it. There even with a fair bit of cancellations just to be safe, which I encourage. People should not go if it's not safe or if it could be, and it's a long drive. But people still came from far away, and we had a total of well over 30 different people throughout the day. We did our normal thing with our barbecue. We 2 of my students brought homemade food. So somebody, Rose, of course, Guru Rose, brought some banana kind of fried lumpia things, but they're banana plantain. And then Anna brought some more like normal meat lumpia stuff. So that was a bonus. It was really good. Yeah. So, it was a free form. Remember in the fall, I did the free form one where it's, we switch from subject to subject and the instructors just chime in when they feel like it. And that went pretty well. It was laid back, but a lot of fun, and everybody seemed to really enjoy it. It lasted till about 4, so we did break early, but it was good. Very happy.
Okay, all right. So this is going to be. I want to start off with the rant.
Okay.
And hey, Mr. Hiltz.
Oh, awesome. Hey, sir.
And it's all, everything we do is interwoven with everything else. So, it's kind of hard not to do something and not talk about everything else under the sun because it's all thread. Like our martial art, there is no one piece. If you learned it right, there's all this stuff that we can isolate, but like when we punch, we kick, we lock, we throw, we weapon. We should be doing it all together, not, just bits and pieces. So, so what I want to talk about, my rant, which kind of ties into today's topic a little, which, by the way, if anyone didn't notice when we came in, we got new picture of PG Tye. Hold on here. Let me hear. So that's going to be. I took us both out there. We're going to use that in the trailer. We have the one with him wearing the white shirt. That's going away. but I didn't want to put the same thing over and over again in the thing.
Right.
So,
No, that's good.
yeah, Bob Hubbard does photography for us. He is not a hardcore photographer anymore. He's gone a slightly different route when it comes to stuff for careers, but he hooks us up whenever we're in town, wherever these guys come into town, and it's all good. It's all good. So
People.
yeah. So I think it's people being judgmental. Now, I'm going to say real quick, and you can chime in on this too. I am a martial arts snob. I'll be the first to admit that. Oh, here we go. He likes the gun show. So I don't want to say I'm judgmental. Well, actually, I'm when it comes, I'm super snobby for two reasons. And one of which is that there's a lot of people out there who really know nothing about modern arnis, and have not, including the people doing it. And when I say that, first of all, we talk about it all the time. A lot of people did it, the art within your art, and they treat it as an accessory. They trained it one day a week. And they may have only wanted to go and get the Sinwalis and the disarms and not get the rest of the system. Some people would go to Michigan camp and not pick up a stick until the following year. This and anyone, if anyone's getting butthurt when I say this, well, tell me I'm lying, because we both know these people. I've seen Remy fail these people when they tried to test for their next level black belt.
Right.
And if that didn't happen at your camps, well, maybe you should have gone to more camps to see this stuff happen out. So a lot of people never took their FMA training wheels off. A lot of people had no intention on learning FMA, just like a lot of people take elements of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and add a little ground game into their main system. They're not BJJ practitioners, and a real BJJ player would probably mop the floor with them. But they took the concepts, added a great game, and at the end of the day, it would probably be wonderful against someone off the street who has no ground. Like I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for decades. I'm still a white belt with 2 stripes, and the reason is that my FMA comes first. And when I'm doing this stuff, it is about enhancing my skills in case I go to there. I just want a familiarity, and I've been wrestling since the 80s. So I have a wrestling background. Actually, maybe the 70s I've been wrestling since the 70s. So when the UFC came out, I was like, oh, dude, I love wrestling. Hell, I was boxing in the 70s in my backyard. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not talking I went to a gym and boxed. No, we just put gloves on and hit. And you know what? Sooner or later, you hit something enough times, you get it right. So I wanted to up my game, but I didn't want, and I did want to be a BJJ player. Everything I want to do, I want to be good at, but I really don't want to be a BJJ specialist. And I've actually had some people say, hey, when I'm in town, can you show me some BJJ? And the first thing I say, I'm not qualified to teach, because I'm using it for me to get on the ground. But anyways, I'm going to go back to this thing. But Modern East is that way. But a lot of people have judged the art based on a few of its practitioners versus doing an in-depth study and stuff like this. When I see a system, I realize that it is at the whim of the people practicing it. So I could just I could be near a crappy school or an elite school. You don't know, and so I don't want to judge a system by what's doing it. Like I said, we've seen a whole bunch of people, like you and I get this. Oh, you're modern Arnis. Really? Are you sure? Why? You guys moved too not good. Because we committed to the craft, and a lot of other people didn't. They were just weekend warriors, tourists for enrichment. Like when I went up to the boudoir with Paulo, we got done. He goes, hey, let's do some stuff. Like, okay, and we did some blade energy flowing type thing. And the first thing I said is, I'm not a blade guy. We got done with the whole thing. He goes, I thought you said you're not a blade guy. I go, I'm not a blade guy. I'm a movement guy. It's just a different tool in my hand. And I was very good at controlling energy, and we both had fun and and we both had opportunities on each side of the equation to control the other person, get our cuts in, get our stabs in. But it was more about a movement thing for me. It's not about this. But here's a person who didn't know anything about me, was a little skeptical about me, and I don't know if it's because things that I've said or people said things about me. He was open-minded and got to know me, and he's got a whole different look on me and what I do. I know I have some other martial arts styles, which I don't want to talk about because I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but they like, hey, why are you different than all the others? So I'm kind of an I get snobby because Modern East takes so much, it's taken so many hits on it based on a few of its practitioners, or based on what Remy's model was, which wasn't, what was Remy really teaching everybody, Ty?
Teaching them actually, well, for the general purpose of his seminars and even in the camps, how to do what they're already doing, but better with some instincts and some concepts that he's adding to their ability to synthesize from.
So how I would say it, same thing. He made a bunch of good martial artists better. But he didn't try to change them. He tried to enhance them. He leveled them up by adding some Filipino concepts to their base. Remy, on a whole, taught self-defense. He wasn't trying to develop Filipino martial artists. It's probably the percentage of people who did that is in the 1-digit percentile. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, oh, definitely, yes.
Probably less than 5%.
That's pretty easy call, yeah.
So I always tell people that I wanted to do a 1%er patch, but there's another 1% group out there that I don't want to be affiliated with. But we're the Modern East 1%ers, because doing it as a standalone program. I mean, at the time of Remy's passing, I was the only dedicated Modern East Academy. And how we doing, Eric?
Yeah, all right.
I had some other. Well, we're going to talk about. I had some people. Well, we'll talk about. I had other people from Portland training with me this weekend. So I get over snobby because I'll have all these other FMA martial artists make comments about the art, and it's like, dude, you're doing the same. We're doing the same moves. Actually, in some cases, we're doing the moves better than you. If you train with someone like myself or you or Chad and the other guys who committed to the craft, I remember watching a bladed system seminar that you and I happened to be attending, and Chad was there, and we watched one of the instructors, one of our favorite instructors, do the material. I was like, huh, isn't that funny? What? Well, we're just watching a seminar that Remy would have taught, except there's a knife in the guy's hand.
Right.
I was like, but, and this was an art that would poo-poo Modern Arts at one time. So that's the one thing I get a little snobbish on. The other thing is, I don't know of many people that have had the same quantity of high caliber teachers. So, I mean, you got people, listen, you got some top-notch people out there. Okay, you've got Leo Gahe, you had Remy Praises, you had Danny Inasano, you got Bobby Tabuada. Okay, how many people studied with more than just one of those?
Mm-hmm.
I was with Remy Praises, Ernesto Praises, Ted Buat, Dr. G. Okay, those are 4 top-tier guys that I had some kind of student-teacher relationship that people would know. Like, there's a bunch of instructors out there that I can mention names and people wouldn't know who they are. Remy, the creator of Modern, which was world famous, was the guy that pretty much helped save Filipino martial arts becoming extinct in its own country. Ernesto, the younger brother, who was a world-class martial artist himself, specializing in double stick. Ted Buat, who was more or less the inheritor of Anchambacon's system, The only reason why it was announced to become the inheritor, but the only reason why he didn't inherit the system because he moved to Detroit, Michigan, and Anshan thought he was going to come back, and he didn't. Dr. G teaches Bondo, has consulted for the likes of, I'll give you, the Dog Brothers. That's okay. Joe Lewis, Ed Parker, and Danny Nasano. So the people who would have trained with him have been my classmates when it comes to that. So I mean, and that is not even talking about hanging out with people like Bobby Tabwata, Maul Morney, and others. So I'm really, really snobbish. But at the same token, when I see stuff, I don't judge it. I have my knee-jerk reaction, but I say I need to go back and do more research. I need to find out if I don't like something, I want to find out if it's the person or if it's the system. And sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm not. But I see I see a lot of people making judgments out there without doing the research, and it really annoys me because, judging a book by its cover, it's just not. But that's my rant. I don't know. Do you have anything for that?
No, I just people love to pigeonhole things, and if you even if that's your instinct, everyone I think would do well to remember that. Okay, I made the choice to make that now, but even if you want to do that, guess what? When you get new information, you should probably be open to seeing do you need to reevaluate that.
Well, there's been a little thing between modern and Bikini people. One of my biggest advocates out there is Jack LaTour. He's constantly, hey, Tim Hartman's doing this. A good friend of mine, Tim Hartman, is doing a seminar. You should check it out. Boom. Boom. Okay.
And vice versa.
Yeah, we're always constantly saying, hey, Jack, yep. So it's just, but if you talk about other Bikini people, sometimes Bikini, as an example, has a thing that everything's Bikini. Mm-hmm. But then again, sometimes modern people look at it the same way, and Balintawak people and Gobaton people. So, I mean, we all got to get past this snobbery thing and try to find out what we have in common. And, a lot of times, like when I'm hanging out at other seminars, I'm not looking for their martial material, although I do want to see their martial material, but I'm really looking on their teaching structure and their nomenclature. Jared Wahangi was at the Maya Super Show. I sat in on a session, and I didn't sit on it. I trained it.
There you go.
I trained the session. I might even be on the videos that they filmed. So when people sit there and talk about, well, Tim does this. No. Tim gets on the floor and does stuff. I don't care what the hell titles I have and belts I have. As much as I think I know, and I feel confident where I know stuff, I realize there's so much more for me to learn out there. Mm-hmm. But here's something you always saw. So we talk about the blade here, and I always talk about, like, with the stick work, you have to line up with these joints right here, like as if it's a blade. Well, he said the second set of knuckles. I'm like, I never heard that before. I really like that. Guess what's in my repertoire now?
Right.
And I'm more than happy to give Jared Wahangi credit for that, because that was an amazing thing. It was actually a great seminar because we said it differently, but we said a lot of the same stuff because he comes from more of a tactical point of view. This weekend, I was making comments about cosplay again. As martial arts, we have a tendency of, doing the fantasy opponents that don't really exist.
Right. Well, you were talking about the Bikini Guy. So this weekend, I had several Bikini guys local. There, there's a couple different groups. Some of their people were showing up today, and one of the things we noticed was actually, instead of pointing out the differences, we were noticing some of the influence and commonalities, and that was actually a nice part of the sharing, because then, as you said, you kind of get to look at both the presentation, understanding, and even the teaching structure, the ontology of it.
Did they notice that as well?
Yeah, they noticed that too. We talked about that specifically as we noticed about it. Yeah.
I remember. So the group that I talk to down there is in your region. I'm assuming it's the same group. Is Tuhan Apollo and Bobby Ladra. The Tuhans, Bobby and Apollo Ladra. And I've had the the one group, they walked in and they had this stink about them. You know, that you walked in, you look at them like, you know, when we did the fundraiser, these guys look, you know, because they had that resting bitch face like I have all the time.
There you go.
They were the nicest guys.
Yep.
They were friendly. They were talking. And,
Yep.
and I talked about, you know, when we do our footwork, we want to do this footwork, you know, clearing the path of the weapon to travel. And the guy goes, hey, you know what? We work in this industry. Same damn thing. People hack at their legs all the time. Man, and it was, so we talked about universal movement. It wasn't just a martial art thing. It was a life thing.
Yeah.
So let me see. What did Noah say here? Noah said, I try to learn techniques and flow, not what styles they're from. It's just cool. And then PG tell you, how was the FMA things over the week? Well, we actually just talked about it. It was a very good success.
Yeah, I was very happy. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. And you know, so here we go. So I sent a letter to the guy. So I was supposed to teach at Ty's event. Well, actually, no. I was supposed to go to the gathering. And then airfare was going to be like $1,200 to Reno. Like, to Reno? Like, who'd want to go to Reno? I had a bunch of stuff come through that changed. I was able to use points. I exhausted all my. I upgraded credit cards when I went to Vegas, and it's great. So I've got. So you had there's the platinum, then there's the Amex Black card. I board with everybody.
Okay.
Or anybody now. So I board first class. He goes, awesome. With cross swords, stars, a nuclear symbol, and is that a rocket ship? I can't tell.
Oh, that's the high five.
Oh, okay, that high five. Okay. I've got the black background. There we go. So, LOL, Reno. Good Chinese buffet there. Actually, I didn't see any buffet there. So, well, at least the hotel. We were at Circus. So, so the message I put, so the whole thing was I was going to go to Ty's as a backup if I couldn't go to Reno. Things worked out and I went to Reno, and it was very good because, to be honest with you, so I'm a little snobby about the West Coast Escrima, because it's not Kali, because we know the word doesn't really exist in the Filipino language, and the Filipinos and I were talking about that topic, but whatever. It's good marketing for them. Good for them. At the end of the day, you know, the message I sent to the guys that teaching at your event, well, I can't make it because I pre-committed to this. It's going to come through, but we will show the the West Coasters, a little of our East Coast swagger. And, you know, I don't think there's this image anymore that the West Coast can't match the East Coast. At least on an individual player. Maybe it was a overall and say, well, you know, maybe it'll be like, well, Tim, you're an exception because of what you do and who you are, whatever. But I think, you know, when we're looking at FMA, there's just as many talented FMA practitioners and instructors out on the East. Actually, I always thought that the East Coast was a little harder. I thought that West Coast is more lifestyle, fatty thing in the martial art world. And the East Coast is more of a lifestyle, like a rougher lifestyle. Well, and the other thing, too, is like, if you do the population mass, what is it? Like only 20% of the population lives out on the West Coast. It's like 80 on the East Coast or the rest of the country, you know. But I was talking to, I think Jason and I were talking about this. And so why do you think all these things are? Well, Black Belt Magazine, Inside Kung Fu, Panther videos, we just kept going on. They're all on the West Coast. So none of the East Coasters would have readily accessibility to being in front of these people, you know, and it becomes a good old boy club. And I hate to say it that way, but I'm like, you know, let me see, Danny Inasano's world class. He's done more for martial arts than anyone else. He's there. It's easy to have him in for a photo shoot. How hard is it to have you in for a photo shoot and me in for a photo? I mean, well, they didn't have us in for photo shoots, you know. So when you look, there's a lot of people that were regularly featured, and when you look where they were based, it was West Coast, not necessarily. And I think the thing here is, you know, I mean, when you look at Ron Balicki, who's arguably one of the top Jeet Kune Do practitioners out there, he came up in Degenberger's Academy in Chicago. He didn't come up. I mean, he moved to the West Coast, but he didn't come up there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to let you read this one because, you know, it's you.
It's longer, yeah. Kali from Kawi by Floro Filibril. He calls it Escrima. In 1970s, Grand Tuhan Floro changed the name to Kali. Your correct Kali name is not from Philippines. It's from Kauai, Hawaii.
Yeah. There we go.
Kawi, Hawaii. Yep. Okay.
Well, listen, it was a marketing thing, and I don't blame him. I mean, hell, let's talk about that. For those who don't know it, Modern Arnis is not Modern Arnis. It's ModernEscrima. Remy's the White Book is the practical art of Escrima, but his wife was the one that said, "Hey, you should do a different art." Now, I know. Okay, I'm just going to throw a little logic on people.
Mm-hmm.
You be the judge on this, because a lot of people say that Ernesto came up with this. When Remy created Modern Arnis, Ernesto would have been 10 years old. You do the math. I mean, could he have said it? I've always heard that it was Mother Praces that said you should call it our niece because everyone else was teaching Escrima to make you different from everyone else. That is an adult thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is an adult logical point, not a preteen thing. But I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'm wrong, but that doesn't mean I'm not.
Right.
So, so let's get into it. We had really so we were supposed to do a Kids in the Martial Art. Well, actually, let me talk about a couple shows that are coming up. Here's some cool things. I got some new guests. Jason and I of the United States.
Excellent.
Jason and I.
That's right. Well, you've had him at the camps once, at least once that I know of.
Miguel. Here we go. Big announcement. He's going to be teaching with us in Barbados in 2023.
Wow. Excellent.
Oh, no, it gets better. He will be joining the FMA invasion at Terry Dow's event.
Oh, excellent.
He will be teaching in New Hampshire.
Excellent. Wow. That's good for Terry and good for him.
There we go.
Yep.
Another guest that we're going to have on, Miguel Ruby from myfmasupply.net.
Excellent.
So we're probably going to have him on multiple times because we're going to talk about the FMA supply industry.
Nice.
But he's an accomplished Doce Pares guy.
Yep.
As well as his school is half Doce Pares and half Yao Yan.
Oh, that's right. Yep.
And this guy is funny because he and I were comparing a lot of notes. He knows the skeletons, and it's the kind of guy, well, actually, there's a lot of, so this is why I want to have him on board, and this is why we'll probably have him. You might see him at one of our camps with this. So I heard two things. I'm not going to say from whom, because I don't want to embarrass anybody. I don't want someone to think, well, Hartman said you're wrong. He might be wrong. So I don't trust historical information from martial artists because I don't trust them to do the proper due diligence. Mm-hmm. I think martial artists have a tendency of finding out a history that benefits them.
Or people love legends and myths too.
So you can understand why I would say something like that, right?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So I heard two things from a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, which is another reason why I'm not going to mention his name. As coming up, he told me two things about Filipino culture. First thing was that the Spaniards outlawed reading and writing. And they used to write in Filipino on banana leaves and let it in this. So what would happen when the sun would hit it, it would the letters would go away. Now, maybe he didn't articulate this properly. I was talking to Miguel Ruby about it. I go, what do you think about this? I go, no. You got to think about it. What were the Spanish trying to do? Spread Catholicism. Mm-hmm. If you couldn't read the Bible, so now maybe he meant to say they didn't want them to have their own separate language. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But to say outlawing reading and writing and I'm thinking about it, what were the Spaniards doing? It was for the church. Mm-hmm. They spread the art, or they spread the word of the Lord. And if you couldn't read the Bible, you were useless to them. So he would educate them.
I could see how they would want to maybe outlaw reading and writing babayan.
Exactly. Now maybe that's what was intended to be said, but maybe it was said and I just didn't hear it right. This is why I like to double check it, because I always sit there and say, well, I was told I always like putting that little precursor. Here's another one, which turns out that he agreed 100%. So regionally speaking, they renamed all the Filipinos. So everyone from one region, their last name started with the letter R.
I've heard
Another
that.
area was so no. Miguel's like, nope, they did that because he's half Pinoy, and he's done research, which is why we'll probably have him on the show multiple times.
Nice. Well, that'll be good. Plus, it's a nice connection across the country.
Oh yeah. And so we're going to probably have him on for the supplies first. He's got a few pet peeves we'll talk about. He's the guy essentially for supplies right now. My rattan is for no one but my people. It's so hard for me to get rattan. I do not openly sell rattan. And you know, we're talking about this. My last order of rattan took me 9 months to get my hands on it. Mm-hmm. So I run a full-time school with 70, 80, 90 students in it. I need to take care of my school first, then my satellite schools or organizational schools second, and everyone else, sorry, but actually not sorry. I'll send you to Mike. Mike's a great guy. He has access. So we'll have him on the show. We're gonna have Renee Tungsten back. Yep. We're gonna do FMA. We're gonna do martial or children in the FMA. So I have two people in mind for that.
Okay.
Two people.
I know one of them, and that's
you know both. You know both of them.
Oh, okay.
E.
Yep. All right. Good.
S and E. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually quite excited about that.
Excellent. Oh, that'll be good.
I'm probably going to start reaching out to other people now, broadening the horizon of our group because there's so much more martial arts out there. Now, for those who haven't noticed this, okay, now that we're 32 minutes in, everyone, please do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, hit that notification button, and feel free to share this wherever you feel appropriate.
And chime in and send questions.
We want to hear, like Noah. I love listening to Noah. I love, and the thing, our viewers are really cool. They don't necessarily always agree with us, but they don't bash us for having our own opinion.
Yep. And they engage.
Yeah, they get us. They're like, hey, you're wrong, and we'll say, no, you're wrong. All right, and then we'll say, let's go get some San Miguel. Actually, it would be Red Bull. Yeah.
Or Mule.
Red Bull. Yeah, wait, Red Bull. Or Mule. Mule, yeah. And you and I got to talk a little about some events coming up.
Gotcha.
So, actually, I got to do my thing right now. So I'm going to leave this to you and turn you into Bullseye.
There you go. All right in front of my head. Let's see if I can do this. All right. No, actually, so some of the things that Datu said already touched into tonight's topic, and if you paid attention to the flyer, the topics, right, is support going both ways. That came about a little bit in some of the things we were already talking about today. But some of it is just a recognition that, hey, we're all doing what we're doing for a reason. So instead of maybe assuming the worst, look for some good, or look for both, but at least do it all justice. Support. You noticed that he was at an event with other martial artists and other FMAists. My event this last weekend was all sorts of different local FMAs, and actually there was a Silat guy and also a Kung Fu Silat guy who were joining in and supporting as well, which was great. So what happens there? You go to these multiple style event, multiple people event, and you do your part and play with everybody else, and ultimately that pays dividends because it goes both ways, right? So I go out and go to your event and share and support and train and help and just play along like everybody else. And you do the same. And that is noticed and pays dividends in terms of, one, recognition, two, the goodwill that everybody sees. And then three, you're remembered when, hey, let's all think of a new event. Oh yeah, this guy was at these events. He's at all these things. Let's get him. We like him. They like him. That kind of good stuff. So I was leading in. I was trying to connect some of the stuff we were talking about to the topic.
So, Eric, Hanji Bruce Shutnick has students in the Portland area who also do some modern. So,
and did you tell him hi for me, by the way?
I did.
Did he remember?
Probably not.
Probably not. Yep.
He was a little distracted. There's a lot of things. The hotel was giving him a hard time with some stuff. It is not going to be in Reno anymore. It's going back to Sacramento. I'm so excited about that. The DoubleTree, it'll be there, and we're gonna talk about it. I'd like to see if we can all go and we'll talk. I'd like to bring the crew out there.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about what other things are going to happen while we're there, but we're going to have meetings on this. So, I'm just going to go right into it. I'm going to go for the throat on this one. It annoys the hell out of me because especially, and if he's watching, you know who I'm talking about, and you know my phone number. Yep. Okay. So here's the thing that annoys the hell out of me. I know somebody, you know the same person. Wonders why no one supports his event. But he doesn't support anybody else's events. And I was like, oh my God. So
this sort of, and by the way, everyone, this sort of started from my similar rant last week, I guess.
Yeah. Because we probably had a similar conversation too.
That's right.
So, I ran a tournament for years. It's been shut down since COVID. I'm going to be pulling it back out. I had a tournament we're talking stick fighting tournament, a regular tournament, not a qualifier for week half. We're talking an actual tournament. We do forms, we do fighting. We'd have about 70 to 90 competitors, all different ages. It was a blast. I was trying to get the people to show up to host their own event so I could go support it. Mm-hmm. They didn't want the headache. They'd rather have me run it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that was something that I would keep telling them, anytime you want to do one, I'll come out to you. You're coming to me. The least I could. And there's been a lot of East Coast tournaments that I happen to show up to. I end up running because people didn't understand rules. They didn't understand scoring. Or we're just doing a tournament, and they're like, I remember showing up at a tournament in Maryland once. I'm like, do you guys have any clue what you're doing? And the answer to that was no. So I had to take her. I mean, it's not hard. I mean, we ran a tournament at one of your events, free of charge. Everyone hop in. I brought awards just to promote martial sport,
Yep.
And I'm going to be getting back into it. Matter of fact, I'm hosting the World Filipino Martial Arts Championships in 2024 in Buffalo. Yay!
Right.
But the thing here is okay, so the world thing I'm going to do. It's based on. It started with the Comaton group. So I'm waiting to see where the European Championships are going to be in 2023. Because what am I going to do? I'm going to try to fly over and go to it. And do some side gigs while I'm there to pay for the trip. Okay? Because I'm not expecting them to pay me to be there. Now, I might get lucky, and they do. But I'm not expecting that. Depends on what kind of sponsorship they get from the government and stuff like that. It's supposed to be in Austria. But I'm going there. I'm the host for 2024, so I should go to the 2023 event as long as it's not during one of our camps.
Right.
But I'm waiting for them to get back to me, and they haven't. So, I mean, there are some things that I just cannot move around, which I'm going to message the guy while we're talking. But I mean, I get this I see this all the time. Or now I've seen. Here's the thing I see in the. I'm beginning to see the instructors doing a better job of getting out there. All right, so there are people that come to your event and teach there. And most of them bring people with them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I know there's at least one instructor that brings nobody with them.
Right.
Doesn't ask for support from you, though, either.
Right.
Uh-oh. Hello. How was Reno?
Jim Tinkle.
Yeah.
Reno 911. Yep.
Yeah. No, Reno was good. I had a really good I had a really good weekend out there. It was rough. Flew out Friday, flew home Sunday. That was really rough, but overall it was really good.
I think that's sort of two levels, right? People are going out to support and share and teach, do their part, get their name out there, and adding the ability for people to do different things. That's part of it. But then, like you said, bringing people is a big part. So I'm wearing someone's shirt today. You might recognize it.
Oh, it's Alex's.
Alex shirt. Yeah, because he's showed up at my event. He showed at other people's event. He's
Hey,
getting
did he
out
show up
there.
this weekend?
No, he was going to normally, but no, not with the hurricane and stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
But he's gone to several events that are outside the small circle of just Blentuak, and so he's getting out there, and that's tapped into what we always talk about, which is doing your work. It's just one more aspect of doing your work. There's not a one-stop shop to get all of that work done. You have to do it across the board. Otherwise, it's going to be tough.
So here's my recommendation for people who haven't done this. First of all, you go out there and support these other events.
Yep.
As you. Then when you find events that are safe for your people, you bring your people. So step one, okay, here's what I mean safe. No nonsense, no bullshit. I'm not worried about my people getting hurt, but there's some bad events out there. Like I went to the Philippines. I remember Marlena Hofano made a sarcastic comment at me. I went to the Philippines, and he was there, and like, hey Tim, you have any students? No, and he made it. The comment came out. Tim never has students. I'm like, come with him. I go, I do, but I don't expect him to drop. This is my okay. A very small percentage of the people who train with me, and that's long distance as well, do this as an income.
Mm-hmm.
I do not expect anyone to risk losing money investing poorly in a trip and an experience. I go first. If I like it, I bring people back.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the Philippines the first time on my own. Okay. My second trip, I had 11 people with me. That's a big difference.
It's a huge difference, yeah. Especially considering the investment.
And it goes up and down. I mean, usually I have smaller groups because
it's more manageable.
Yeah.
A lot of logistics, yeah.
I know about support. That's why I wear shock doctors. Hey, those are the best ones out there.
There you go.
The shock doctors are cool. I wish I had that when I was a kid because it's a compression short with a cup that you can actually take out and wash the both separately, which is even better.
Nice.
Just as a random comment there. So, but the thing here is, okay, so like Jack LaTour is going to events.
Mm-hmm.
Alex is now going to events.
Mm-hmm.
Now, and a whole bunch of other people. So, and once they find that there's safe, productive events, the next step would be to start bringing students, because the thing here is you're ambassadors for your art. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, even if and here's the thing, I don't look at the material anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the teaching structure, which is more important to me. Okay, so in ModernEscrima, if I strike from the right hand side, mm-hmm. for follow through striking, my right foot's in front. If I strike from the left side, following all the way through, my left foot in front. And people say, well, why do you do that? And I would talk about body mechanics and all this other stuff. Shit that people wouldn't get. Once I hung out with Dr. G, he's going to say, Tim, why do you do this? I told him. He goes, that's good. You know why I do it? No. There's safety cuts or strikes. Okay, tell me. I'm clearing the path for the weapon to travel so I don't hit or cut myself. God damn it, you're so smart. And they're like, and from the moment he told me that, even to this day, I got 6-year-olds who go, why do we step back this way? Because I applied it to my locks and my controls. I step this way so when I throw them, they don't fall on me.
Right.
And I got kids being able to say that now.
Yep. And it's sort of a back door to get some better body mechanics. But if that's not what is going to click for them, you still trick them into doing it for other good reasons.
And I know there's been a bunch of people out there who've given me credit because I said something that resonated with them. I actually remember, I can't remember his name. It was the guy that did the first summer camp I went to, which was the 86 Mississippi summer camp.
Okay.
He attended a seminar I taught over at Ernie McKinney's, the Jacksonville camp. Mm-hmm. And he was talking to Ernie. Ernie goes to me afterwards, hey, listen, I was talking to the guy. Yeah. He said to me, Ernie, he really didn't show much that I haven't already seen before. Which I expected that because he was a black belt before me. Mm-hmm. He goes, I've never seen it taught that way. He's really got good teaching structure and nomenclatures. I'm like, well, that's because I hang out, because I am that martial arts snob that has hung out with the best of the best, which is why when I see people who are average, I'm kind of down on them more, because I'm used to the likes of, pick the person. I probably trained with them or been exposed to them one way or another.
Mhm.
You know, except for Genghis Khan. I wish I would have had time to spend with him, but really not that old. Here we go. Let's get caught up. Fun facts: for 4 to 6 years, I brought 4 to 10 people to every event and too many. Yep, terrible events. Do you host tournaments? I run out of trophies. Tell a 6-year-old. Yeah, I hear that.
Yeah.
And then who got
That's
first
continuing
place?
on, yeah.
Yeah.
So tell a 6-year-old who got first place in his present. Parents drove him 3 hours, and you run out of tournaments or trophies, really?
Well, hell, so case in point, my whole thing, what I've always done with my people, real simple. You get your awards last. You get all your stuff last.
There you go.
Because if we run out, I'm going to get them. I'll order more and give them to you because you're the local guy, Yep. So, yeah. So, I'm the cynic.
It's in the mail. It's in the mail.
Okay, so Ty so Rich Parson will talk about this too. Something will happen, and I'll make the comment, and I'm the cynic that says the bad comment. I'm the pessimist in the group. But more times than not, I'm the accurate one of the group as well. No, this is bullshit. The guy's doing this. The guy's doing that. This, that, dealing. And 3, 6, 12 months later, how did you know? Bad experiences. It's the same stuff, different name. But here's the thing. I'm going to give you an example here. I did the 10-year anniversary camp for Modern Ernies.
Mm-hmm.
Bad Cop Hartman. Yep. So there was very little reciprocation. Here it was the biggest. It is still the biggest Modern Ernies event in North America after Remy's passing. Still to this day. Second only by the 65th anniversary camp.
Mm-hmm.
So we had 80 some odd people when we did the 10-year. We had 70 some odd people when we did the 65th anniversary. Okay. So there was a bunch of people there. Outside of my network, only 2 reciprocated and have me back. Matter of fact, one person said they'll never have me in my school. Well, or their school. It's like, well, if you'll never have me in your school, you actually say that to people. Isn't that hypocritical that you showed up for a payday? Because it really shows that you're in it for the money. You're not in it for good commerce. You just saw an opportunity. Actually, I think that's why some of the people went there. They started distancing themselves because they felt that they were going to come in and take over. And I think they probably figured out they were out of their league. The 10-year Modern East Reunion Camp was amazing because then it started multiple events. It then was able for Dieter to do the Best of the West camp, which then there was Best of the East camp, the East meets West camp. He did a whole series of camps pre-COVID because of the 10-year anniversary camp. Mm-hmm. It brought a whole bunch of people together. You just say, I'll drop the check off at your school. So, then I'd be, nice. That's pretty good. That's good. And I remember I remember Chuck Goss was there, and I gave him a check for $1,000, and looked at it like, what? I'm like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. I gave every instructor that much, every primary instructor, and I took care of hotel meals, and I gave everybody a $75 credit card with Remy's portrait on there.
Nice.
For food. And you know what? Most of the people, somebody else bought them food.
Right.
So, I put them in a room. I told everybody, you show up to the event, I'll take care of your meals, I'll take care of your hotel room, but you're splitting with an instructor, and we'll split whatever comes in. We went from 10 to 7 primary because three backed out. I mean, Kelly Warden got in a motorcycle accident. Mm-hmm. The 2 other canceled on me. So 7 instructors, and then we had 3 special guests. Kim Foreman, the former George Dillman's wife, which when they talk about the big three seminars, it was Remy Pracis, Wally J, and George Dillman. Those three entities, the big three entities: Remy Pracis, Wally J, and George and Kim Dillman. Mm-hmm. It wasn't all George. She was all part of that, and she doesn't get a lot of credit for that. Now, so she was there. Max Palin was there, and Ron Van Browning was there.
Oh, nice. Good.
And I put money in all their pockets as well. I mean, not as much because they were just guests, but I still want to put in, respect money and stuff like that. Which, if you're hosting an event, you got to think about respect money.
That was what, a year or two before I came out of being a hermit?
Yeah, it was about a year or two. Yeah.
Okay, that's too bad. I should have done it a little earlier, but oh well.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I'll give Brian Zolinski credit. He pre-hosted us as a promotion for that.
Nice.
And obviously Dieter did. Now Rich did stuff, but Rich was with us. Mm-hmm. Rick Mangelong we tried to do an event. Rick was with us. Mm-hmm. But the others didn't do anything. And I'm like, okay. And I've done some stuff since, and you've seen it, that I would bring people up. And I remember Brian, he was hosting an event. The camp that he did, his version of Memorial Camp. And he goes, the guys that come out here, they don't keep score. They don't count how many seminars you host. Well, right, because you're the host. You're the one hosting them. They're not hosting you. There is no score keeping by them. They're just saying, hey, he's going to give us money. Let's show up.
Right.
I mean, but you know what? The thing here is I do keep score because I got to see if support is a one-way street and you can support people other than hosting them. Jack LaTour is a huge advocate for me. He can't host me for a camp. He's got other things he's doing. He's got other priorities. Just logistically, I mean, he's never hosted me for a seminar camp, and I'm okay with that. I'm not complaining about that. He doesn't run a full-time. He has another profession. Martial arts is not his profession; it's his side hustle. And he's one of the best damn Bikini Tertia guys out there as a side hustle, Right. But at the end of the day, there's so many ways to give support, and he is a huge advocate for me. He's been interviewed on FMA Discussion multiple times and said, "Oh, Tim is one of the biggest advocates for FMA, great ambassadors, open up the doors for so many people." I'm like, I didn't ask him, I didn't pay him. I pay him to come to my events and share a little Bikini Tertia there. So, let me see here. What's going on here? Okay, I want to go to one of yours PG events. I gotta make that happen. Okay, one of yours or PG's event. Okay, and then when someone wants gas money, I buy beans. But I mean, you need to, at the end of the day, you need to keep score because you need to figure out what kind of relationship you're in. I've got, how many. I have those people that only show up when they need something, and when I need something, they're gone.
And the bottom line is that regardless of everything else, guess what? That's not sustainable.
No.
So the going multiple directions is the only way that this keeps going.
Oh, I mean, you've been around when I've done some stuff. I almost went to a foreign country because I thought what I have to do is snatch and grab for somebody's kid because they're part of our Marshall family, and I'm like, well, you need me there, I'm there. Mm-hmm. Because it would have been the right thing to do. I would have risked not being able to go back to that country. But the fact of the matter here is, I was willing to do that because family's family, and our Marshall family is the family we get to choose.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The number you are calling is no longer working until they have their event. Well, and that's the funny thing. So, like in the modern East world, a lot of people talk smack about me. Let me show you I'll show you what makes them shut up. When I do this, and my wallet opens up, magically everybody's mouth and their mouth shut up and their hands come out. And then once this happens, wait for it. Here we go. Once that happens. And it goes back in my pocket, then everyone's whining, crying, and bitching again.
No, I think that 10th anniversary, I mean, everybody that's being fair about it, I think it was done right, it's done well, and everybody got their piece, and everybody was supported well, and everybody was allowed to come and get it. I mean, there's some weird things on the side, but as far as the event itself and the way you enabled it was, I think, the right way. And I think people forget that too easily.
There was people who I told everybody what the deal was.
Mm-hmm.
Show up. You don't get an uke. You get half of a room. Mm-hmm. If the instructor, and when I mean half, is you and another instructor put together. So let's say I had Ty and Chad working together or coming to my event. I'd put them in a hotel room. I mean, they do that normally, but anyways, I put them in my room.
That's right.
But the thing here is, if you didn't want to share a room, you'd have to pay for the other half. Because logistically, I need, obviously, this thing was going to cost me tens of thousands of dollars. Okay. I laid out $10K in staff payroll alone, just so everyone understands how much money. This could have ruined my business. And everyone is cavalier with my money. Okay. This is what I do for a living. And if you've never done martial arts for a living, that kind of investment. If you're worried about, screw your ego, screw all this stuff. Because at the end of the day, if you didn't want to be part of it, just say no. But don't bitch to me, because at the end of the day, I need to make sure I have a business so I can provide for myself and for my family. And if you don't understand it, you're that so closed-minded and selfish and ignorant, well, then you can't talk to these people. Mm-hmm. So let me see here. Reminds me of my ex. Okay. I am still asking 4K video over here, living in 2025. Okay. Oh, I am still using 4K video. Okay, I'm sorry. My eyes still say up. Money always gets in the way with big events.
Yep.
With 10K video, lol. Some meet new people and try new things and give and take. Make sure go both ways. Good times, win-win. Yep.
You got it, Greg.
Yep. So when I had people leave and start a conflict and try to start a competing event in the same town, and they were from another state. People flew up from Florida to do an event 20 minutes from me. But I'm like, and I know they didn't make the money. I know they lost money on the event versus they could have been with us. Oh, but you promised me special stuff. No, I promised everyone the same thing. You share a room or you pay for your other half. Mm-hmm. You don't get an uke. Everyone has to bring, because right off the bat, think about this. So the event was like $350. Mm-hmm. 10 instructors. Okay. That's $3,500 off the top if everyone brings their own training partner. Mm-hmm. So that's $3,500 less to dish out to people. So I mean, no one's thinking about the logistics of there. Hall. Okay. Managers of the hall would want you to handle out the payment room.
Yep.
Record stop. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. So when it comes to these events, I'm very particular about it. I'm very careful about what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that it's a good event for everybody. I want to make sure that people aren't getting twisted on certain things, But, once again, unfortunately, once that event came out, okay, Brian Zolinski preemptively hosted something, so I'll give him props for that. Dieter did stuff. Mm-hmm. Rich and Rick had done stuff, but Rick and Rich were with us at the time. Well, Rich is still with us. Rick isn't really with us at the time or anymore. But no one else did anything. And like I said, I put money in their pocket, and it just said, well, I'll never have Hartman in the school. Then why'd you bother showing up in the first place? If you had that much disdain with me to begin with, because everyone wants to do things one-sided. Think about this.
Well, they're not mad at your money. They're mad at you, I guess.
Perfect example. Like, this would have been a perfect example of when Brian Zolinski left the IMF. If he became a WMA affiliate,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that we would have tried to promote his events?
Absolutely.
We would have advertised on the website, advertised on the Facebook event page, and for at least one event, I would have wrestled up a whole bunch of people to go out and visit.
Yep.
But, you know, this is, you know, people don't understand the big picture.
So, you know, what goes around comes around. If you support other people's event and invite them to yours, and you keep doing that long enough, what goes around comes around. So So when you're supporting other people's event, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, right? We're still all martial arts geeks, and we love doing that. But how could what would you say maybe to get people to kind of take that viewpoint and make it good for them? Like, you know, you get to see other people, you get to spread your word, you get to experience new things, get new ways to teach. I mean, what kinds of things would you emphasize so that people could see their own good of doing that, regardless of this logic we're talking about?
So let's talk about this. Why do I do the events that I do? I truly go to events that a lot of the events I go to because they intrigue me. I want to go, you know. Yep. I want to see different people teach. I want to see different systems done. I'm an ambassador for ModernEscrima. I'm an ambassador for Filipino martial arts.
Mm-hmm.
So being an ambassador of those things, I need to be out in the public. You know, I'm constantly out there meeting and greeting people because some of the things here is, see, I also am always looking for new talent to bring to my camp to just add a little spice to the camp. Not that I need it,
mm-hmm.
but spice, you know? I mean, when you look at the people that I've hosted in my place, I don't know of anyone who's done what I've done. I'm not saying people haven't done it, but the list of people that have come through my let me just throw a few out here. So I hosted Remy Prices a whole bunch of times. Okay. Dr. G a whole bunch of times. Okay. Huck Polanis. Okay. Bong Hernellas, who was one of the Datus and has his own system. Hell, Rocky Paswick, who logs in every now and then.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
Okay. Grandmaster Nene Tortal.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby Tabuada a whole bunch of times. Michael Harone a handful of times. Mm-hmm. Max Palin has come through the doors. Ron Browning, Grandmaster Ron Van Browning. Kim Foreman, and George Dillman and Kim Foreman, and the two of them on multiple, well, them together, and then once Kim has come to our school multiple times.
Jason and I,
Jack LaTour,
Terry Dow.
What? Who?
Terry Dow,
Mike and May Williams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the Modern East Anniversary Camp. Okay, the 10-year anniversary. Who came in for that? Chuck Goss, Brian Zolinski, Dan Anderson, Rich Parsons, Brian Zolinski, Dieter Kanoodle, who's been in my club twice. Once official, one unofficial. I've let Bram Frank use my school when I wasn't even in the country.
Mm-hmm.
He came up and did a workshop, and they needed a spot for one day. Let him use my school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's a lot more people I know that I've.
And some names people wouldn't know, but I think it gives that shows the opportunities you give as well.
Yeah, Ricky Lazo,
right? Reno Galano.
What?
Reno.
Nanoy Galano out of Toronto when he was with us. You know, I mean, I you know, it probably an easy 30 names when I could have been promoting my shit only. But I'm looking to bring spice, you know. And the other thing too is, like, you know, like for those who are hosting, let me throw something out at you. If you're thinking about hosting, never host a seminar to make money.
Mm-hmm.
You host a seminar to defer your learning costs. You know, and here's the thing, like an example.
Host who you want to see and learn from for whatever reason, teaching style, exposure, etc.
Like when I have Bobby, when I've had Bobby Tabuada. Okay, here we go. The perfect example. Mm-hmm. I've had Bobby Tabuada a whole bunch of times.
I think I know where you're going on this.
If we look at how many people he attracted that I didn't already have access to,
Mm.
I would have lost money every single time.
Yep.
If that's all the money I don't bring Bobby to my place to make money. I look at a different side of Balintawak because I've been doing Balintawak for 22 years. This July will be my 23rd anniversary. I was trained with Ted Buat, the designator inheritor of Anshan Bakan. Once again, I'm a Marshall snob. Can't do much better than that. But you know what? Bobby brings something completely different. First of all, he does the grouping methodology, which Anshan didn't do. Okay. So I had no access to that because I learned from Ted Buat. He taught the same way as Anshan did. I wanted to see what a different branch of the same tree did. Bobby's a great great asset. So I did stuff with him. Amazing.
Well,
I did it for my personal journey. I didn't do it to make money because I would have lost money on it.
Well, and also along that same thing, you're hosting people that you want to do that for when they're interested and willing to show you kind of extra takes on stuff that are outside their normal teaching because you're not in their normal shoot for learning, right? They're free to explore a little bit there. So you're bringing them in to teach their seminar. They share some stuff with you that may or may not be extra. You win-win. You win for hosting that and deferring your costs. You win by getting some goodwill. You win by the extra things they're willing to share you because you hosted them. I mean, yeah, money is probably not the best.
And here's the thing, let's put a twist on this. And this is not a bash. This is what I'm talking about bringing people in and doing stuff. Bobby's people really don't care about seeing anybody else. So, and listen, I'm not saying they're snobs. What I'm saying is
they're very laser focused.
They're very focused on what they do. So, when I host an event, Bobby's people don't show up so much because other people are teaching. Now, when Bobby hosts an event, they are great. They so I've taught multiple times at his birthday camp. They're very respectful. They all get the cameras out to get the videos. They're doing photos with me afterwards. They're asking me about my techniques afterwards. Most likely because they didn't realize my connection to Balintawak and what I have to offer. They're very respectful to anyone who's doing teaching and stuff like that. But they're not seeking these people out. Bobby Tabuada is doing his yearly platform and giving a Marshall buffet that his students could do a little sample from. Now, do a couple of them maybe reach out to these other guys? Possibly. I don't know. But I generally don't see Bobby's people, generally, not, we're talking about the norm, not the exception, going to all these other Filipino martial art events, supporting these other Filipino martial art events that he's not teaching at. There's a couple. I know there's a little subgroup there that does a lot of the FCS, but that's just a couple schools. It's not a huge thing. And someone might catch a seminar here or there, but once again, when I host Bobby, I don't get the Toronto crew coming down. I don't get I'll get one person from Cleveland. I get no one from Cincinnati, no one from Columbus. I have him there to add to what we're doing. That's the same thing I tell people at seminars. I go, when you're hosting me, why do you want me there? And if having me there, because I've had too many people doing this where they thought having me there, all my people would come out of the network or out of the woodwork. I'm like, dude, if you want, my people would rather see me one-on-one. They want to dig in, just, the same with Bobby's people. I get the same thing. If they can see Bobby for a full weekend versus an hour spending a weekend away and only get to seeing Bobby 1 hour of it when he could have had like 6 to 8 hours. We talk about that ourselves. I know there's a lot of events that people ask me about things and I'll say, hey guys, I wouldn't bring my students here. Why? Because my students are used to seeing top tier instructors. There's a few festivals in New York and they're like, why is this? I go, well, besides me, there's no one close to being at the level of a Bobby Dr. G, a Wally J. Right? I'm not saying I'm at that level, but usually at a lot of these events, when it comes to FMA, I'm the top tier guy that's in the room, and they usually have access to me already. I know that one's probably going to come off a little cocky, but it is what it is. I'm willing to take the hit for that one.
Well, let's turn the other side of things, right? So the other half of showing support and doing the support, and on the other side is, guess what? When you're hosted, one of the things I like to do is make sure, one, I'm respectful and appreciative, and do the best I can to give them what they asked me there for. And if they want to ask extra questions and things like that, I'm more than willing to give them some extra stuff because I appreciate the opportunity. And that's the other half of showing the support, right? Following through and meaning it. Yeah. I remember giving one of the groups I went to in Texas. I was doing a whole day long seminar, and I gave them an extra hour or two on some extra material because they were geeking out. I was geeking out, and that's okay. That's goodwill. That's part of doing the work. It's not a guarantee. I'm not saying I'm always going to do that, but I think you should be open to giving your all across the board, right? Not just, hey, I'm going to walk in and now I'm walking away.
Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna let me see. You read these here. What's the first one there?
The pizza again. I met lots of people I did not like, but I never complained about George, Abe, Grant, Jackson, or Ben. Right. A good event takes me. Yeah. Months of hours of prep and planning, setup costs. Most people show up, teaching, and then they leave. Yes, that's kind of what I was talking about. Little spicy crust pizza. Not sure. Yes, I was doing the winning thing. And then pizza again, not trying to kiss your butt, but the events I went to, you taught to the crowd who was there, not the style. Always enjoyed going. Just how you miss a pizza working out.
So one of my sessions, I had a blast. I mean, I enjoy teaching. You've seen me teach. You know better. So if there's any question on whether I enjoy teaching, all you got to do is ask Ty, Chad, or any of these guys. And they will tell you, they'll give you their honest opinion on this. And I'm pretty sure we realize that I do enjoy teaching.
Yeah.
So I had a cool group in one of my sessions. I had a Kajikempo school. So, and the thing was, I'm going to show one of the photos here. This is actually okay. I should have done something else first. Let me get the brand going and take this away. Boom. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 preteens. We'll keep going. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's a mother, believe it or not. Okay. 11, 12, 13, 14. The bulk of them are kids. Not young adults as in like in their 20s. The bulk of them are children. Actually, the funny one, I love this one right here. This one right here. She's Pinay. And so she doesn't speak any English or any Tagalog. So she and I were talking, little phrases here and there, nothing much because I didn't know. And so she's teaching her that. And I'm like, all right, well, hey, oh my God, look at that face. Holy cow. What the hell was I smoking? Well, actually, it was that secondhand smoke. Oh, by the way, this is the guy that, let me see here. Hold on. Eric, this is the guy who's up in your way.
In Portland way?
Yeah. So one of the people who were there, Skip Hancock. This is a very well-known someone from the Parker lineage. Does his own thing now. I'm not going to get into this, that, or the other thing. And he just came up multiple times, because multiple people came up of this. I was engaging the children. Like I was bringing them up and have them help me teach. Sure. I mean, listen, what do? They swung a stick at me, but you know what? They all enjoyed swinging a stick. I mean, everyone likes swinging sticks at me. Well, actually, most people don't because I do block and hit back. But I had a blast with the kids. I engaged with the kids and know how to work that room and all this other fun stuff. Let's see what we got here. There he goes. So, the thing here is, first of all, this is what I do for a living. So I always got to get the Tim Hartman brand out there, because a good portion of what I do are seminars. You know, if I do the proper seminar, that could be rent in a weekend. Okay, which means any other money that is generated from the school, that well, that would be, if I can generate my rent, that might be a third to half of my cost for the month, and I did it in a day or two. So I go to these events to advertise who I am, but I also understand you have to be sincere. I enjoy martial arts is my jam. Filipino martial arts is my profession. Martial arts is my hobby. But at the end of the day, you go out to these things to increase your education. As I said, all it takes is one little phrase that can change the whole way you do things. So I'm a student of Dr. G's. I've trained Bondo for years. I am a certified master level stick instructor in Bondo, the Dot. I didn't read one thing and say, oh, it changed my life and I study this art. No, you read a book, a phrase resonated with you, and it changed what you're doing. I trained the martial art. But even then, like talking about Jared Wahangi, I'm not going to sit there and say, ooh, I'm a Bikini Guy expert because he said use the second set of knuckles and I've been studying this. No, somebody said something in front of me that made me go, damn. And, well, you're pretty smart, Tim. Well, no, that's not me. It was Jared Wahangi. If I remember where I learned it from, I will cite that credit, But I mean, I don't sit there, I don't name drop either. I don't sit there every time. I mean, listen, I've developed a lot of my own stuff, my own drills and stuff of that nature. But at the end of the day, okay, too many people put a curriculum together and they say, I'm a founder of something. Well, that's bullshit. I'm the architect of my curriculum. I created my curriculum. I didn't create, it's all based on what people taught me stuff. I didn't create a new style. My Stig Balintawaks, I was talking to one person who tried to say, well, isn't that the same? Because I was asking about somebody else who created their own system. Wasn't the same what you did with your Stig Balintawak? No, it's my personal brand on my presentation of Anchan Bakan's Balintawak from a hybrid grouped and non-grouped system. I didn't recreate Balintawak. It's not a new Balintawak. It's just Tim's delivery system. And I put a name, instead of saying Tim Hartman's, actually, there's something I could. It's not on this computer. There's something I downloaded. I kind of like it, but I don't. It wouldn't work for me because it's me. Because people will be busting my chops. It's one of those things, like certain people can get away with it and others can't. I'm one that can't. That's interesting. At the end of the day, it's I personally, like I said, I get sick of all that stuff that people are going down that route. But it's just what I do. I promote my brand. I get out there and talk about. Now I'm sidetracked because I was thinking about what I was looking for to show something. Because once again, I get all these comments. Oh, Tim's cocky and arrogant. I go, really? Because then why isn't my name not on my school? Why is it Horizon Martial Arts? Okay, why is it? It could have easily been Hartman Martial Arts. All right, what did Eric say? It's it's my perception. It's of the concept, my teaching methodology.
Delivery system.
But it's not a new system. It's just my delivery system. It's my delivery system. My delivery methodology of someone else's martial art. But then you got other people say, okay, well, here's a perfect one. Oh, no, see, I'm not going to do that because that would throw them under the bus. Yeah, I would. Yeah, I don't want to. Someone else would not take it. Well, no, screw it. This is the guy I like. If it's not a problem with him doing it, it'd be a problem if I do it. So right here, well, let's look at Burton Richardson's thing. He has his own brand. He's world famous. He wrote for Inside Kung Fu.
Yep.
So I have to do it this way. I have to down. Okay, give me just a second here. Okay, I can bring it up fast here. Let me do this here. Okay. Burton Richardson Jeets Kundo. Okay, it's the Burton Richardson lineage. Burton Richardson's MMA for the street. Burton Richardson BJJ for the street. That's Bruce Lee's thing, Battlefield Kali, which it's his brand. Burton Richardson's clinching for the street. Burton Richardson's Krav Maga. Burton Richardson's Zulu's martial arts. Okay, Kali, let's just them away from it. Here we go. Burton Richardson's Sealot for the streets. All right. I'm going to say this. And you know I like Burton. I don't think that's the best brand. It could be Burton Richardson's interpretation thereof. I think and I know where he's coming from on that. He's not trying to say he didn't create Krav Maga, nor would he claim to have created Krav Maga.
Right. Or even a whole new style. He's about the delivery system, I think, too.
It's no different than Burton is naming his brand like my school's Rise of Martial Arts.
Right. I think he's I think in some sense rightly using the name that he's developed from his all the articles he's written and those kinds of things, whether or not you knew what style he was talking about. So now you're associating a name from his productions to these applications.
Inasano Jeet Kundo.
Yep.
Why say Inasano? Because there's so many different branches from Bruce Lee's main tree.
Right.
Parker's Kempo. His students did that, not Parker. Parker called it Kempo Karate.
Right.
Braces
Arnis.
that
we use now out of respect.
Yeah. Anything's on the roads inside the building. Okay. And Hapkido.
Hills Hapkido. There you go.
There you go. So exactly. It's not John Park Taekwondo was Master Park, who's one of the top guys in Taekwondo that I knew. But he didn't, or no, not John Park. Yeah, John Park. But he didn't create Taekwondo.
Right.
It's just his, So now if I did that stuff, oh my God, people would be crying foul left and right. But I've created a brand that's not I'm trying to develop a brand that is not dependent on my name.
Right.
Because I'd rather have Praesis Arnis and then you or any of the other guys teaching Praesis Arnis are judged by your actions and not say it's Tim Hartman's Praesis Arnis.
Right.
But then again, I'm an egotistical prick. Maybe I've got something wrong there. I'm going to be right back because, it's that time again.
That time again. All right. Good. So let's see if I've missed any comments on the side. I don't think so. There's just one left over from, I can't show it, but it says pizza Aikido for the table. There you go. There's another good style. I think people get confused about styles. They get confused about delivery systems. They get confused about personal expression, right? So what I might do as a response of motion to whatever I was being challenged with is going to be what's built into me and what have I done to get that? It's all the training I've done. Am I going to call that a style and teach it as such? No. But I can give you all the pieces, and that's using teaching the material like I do as it is in the separate arts. Or even put together a delivery system that can give you some insights that maybe I've added or come across to things. I think people get way too worried about the differences between all of those and getting credit. I want to give credit for sure. I'll tell you what I've made up. I tell you, hey, where I got it from, what I was influenced by, and here's what I get out of it. If you like it, cool. If you don't like it, okay. But having a whole style, I think that means originally means something way more than it means now.
Well, styles for hair. Listen, hair. First of all, I don't like styles.
Right.
We all have our own style. It's our style is the way we wear our clothes, our hair, it's our swagger. Okay, so what's your style? My style is Tim.
Right. It's called a cult. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. You hit that on the head, PG.
Probably hit my own head.
Oftentimes they're straight confused. Yeah. So listen, if we're going to get into this, I'm going to tell you how I look at it, and I think it makes sense.
Mhm.
A system is the methodology. A style is how you present. Style. I mean, just think about there's what style. Those are fashion magazines. It's all about style. It's still clothing.
Right. It's the flavor. It's the expression. It's the
the colors you choose. Oh, this fall season is going to be all this, that, and the other thing. And then we'll go to pastels. Then we'll go to this. Then we'll go to that, and blah blah blah. That it's still the same clothing methodology. It's still the same method. It's still the same structure of clothing. It's just cut differently or colored differently or fill in the blank. So martial arts, there's the system. The system. Style is how you interpret said system, how you express yourself. Because musicians, they all have their own unique style. But music is still music. But that's just me. So, but getting back to the other portion of things, at the end of the day,
have we gone too far off the title?
I think we rabbit hole.
That's right. Well, we've been touching about it all along, but yeah.
Style is the type of car. System is the engine. Okay. Not bad. Not bad. My mindset is, I said, I've got my own way I look at things, and, people may not agree with me, and I'm okay with that. They can be wrong. So, but at the end of the day, all right, I look at the big picture of things. If you want support, you need to give support.
Yep. You
can't get butthurt if you don't go support anything. And when we do things here locally, there's a group of us school owners that talk about stuff. I'm very upfront about support. And I go, listen, we're not all going to have events that the others want to go to.
Right.
Okay. You hit that on the head too. Whatever that one. I guess you hit it twice. Okay. So, at the end of the day, okay, let's say you have an Aikido seminar. Well, maybe you're the only one interested. When you have something specific, like I host a tournament and you're hosting a tournament, we want both people to go. Well, you got to give support both ways, But, there's certain topics you got to realize that when you're hosting them, that you might be the only person interested in it. So, it is what it is. Nice. Okay. So, but I mean, that's just a personal thing, So, listen, guys, if you want to get support, you got to support others and get over yourself. That's really what it boils down to.
Nothing for free. You got to do your work.
And the first thing here, one of the things I do, or I've done over the years, I've gone to people and say, listen, I realize that this might not be something you're interested in, but I want you to understand that you're welcome to be there. I would rather give you the opportunity to refuse to go than to find out later I had an event and they said, I wish I would have been invited. Mm-hmm. I'm giving you the right of refusal versus not inviting you at all. And I'm okay with you not. I'm okay with the refusal. I'm okay with saying I'm not interested or I don't want to support the event. I'm okay with that. But I want you to understand that if it's something you would be interested or could be interested in, you're welcome to be there.
Well, that's actually a good point. On the front end, maybe, the invitation is a true invitation, not an expectation, but an invitation, right? So that they can show up if they want to, if they feel value added, and then it can start developing from there with the back and forth support that we talked about. Or it doesn't fit, and that's okay too. Okay. But I think that when you invite people to show up for whatever reason, and we've covered, a lot of invitations that we've done over the years, I think that it is years now. I'm not sure that people realize that they're, if you say you invite somebody to do X, I think people are not, sometimes they don't get that you're actually mean it.
Yeah. Yeah. So like I said, I think that alone, because that puts out a lot of goodwill.
Yep.
I think here's this way. I don't want to be, it's a community. I've gone to tournaments. Here we go. Well, I've gone to tournaments that I have not brought anyone to. But the hardest thing, usually a tournament host needs black belts more than they need students.
Right.
Usually they have an abundance of competitors and they don't have enough people to judge them. I have gone and just donated my day. I paid it forward for the time when I used to compete more often, and I would go up to an event, I would judge, and then I'd go home. Sometimes I helped out for an hour. Sometimes I helped out for 8, and I was like, hey, you need a judge? I'm here to help out. Okay, great. Right. With no flyers in hand, no nothing, just show up, do my thing, and then go on my day.
I like it. Paying it forward. That's a good way to say it.
Okay. So, Noah had a question. What's your stick size? By stick size, can you tell what system they're from? This is for both of us. After you, sir.
I was going to say, so I'll tell you. So normally when we buy sticks right there, I think, what's the standard size? 28?
28 is usually pretty
I like to use a 27, but I tailor it to what I use the sticks for and my own size. And then I show people how to measure it for the same kind of consideration. I'm not saying everybody does that, but that's what I do. As far as stick size, there's a couple things. Like most of your modern guys will use the 28-inch sticks. I got it, no problem. But you can see flavors. So Remy, one of the things he likes us to do is use a big ass stick. So use a wider stick than a lot of other styles. It's just something he preferred, and I think it taps into his grabbing and control and the way he would suck you in. Other styles are known for a shorter stick, but again, even that's not guaranteed, right? So Serrata is known for a short stick. Do they all use a short stick? I would venture to say no, because of some of the things I know, and I'll let Datu talk about this, about how that developed for Serrata. But that's all I got to say about it. You want to keep going?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I use a 28. Well, here we go. Here's my evolution. My first instructor did his own sticks, 24 inches. That's what we started with. So when I started, rattan was hard to get a hold of. There were no caning. There still aren't a rattan caning place here in Buffalo.
So 24-inch stick is the same size as a replacement stick for a plunger, a bathroom plunger, by the way. So boom, go buy them. So
I know Bobby Tabata uses a 26 because it fits in his luggage better. Okay. I know the grouping methodology people in Balintawak use lighter sticks so they can go fast. I use a heavier stick so I can crush them. But my Balintawak, my branch of the tree, not a Stig, Ted Buat, 28-inch stick, because that's what Anshan used. Now, okay, so it was Miguel Ruby that was the one who we're going to have on the show. He's the one that told me this. Like, we talked about Doce Paras and short sticks. There's footage of Jimmy Tacosa and Angel Caballas using 28-inch sticks. And as what he had told me, it was this whole idea of, no. Okay. He gave me the information. I'm going to tell you how I interpret things. My expression of what he told me. I think this nonsense that the stick is only 18 inches, because here's what they said. Oh, it's a battlefield system, so you needed a smaller weapon like the Spartans would, so you wouldn't cut the people next to you. And it's like, no. Angel's health was deteriorating, and the full-length stick was too hard for him to manipulate, so he kept cutting it shorter and shorter. As he got weaker, they cut the stick shorter. Now, I use whatever stick I have. I do have a 24-inch stick. I have an 18-inch stick. I have 32s. I have 40s. I have stabs. I have everything in between because I want all these different options, because I don't know what I'm going to have to deal with, because I'm dealing with Philippine martial arts for street application, not dueling. And actually, this is a great thing we came with the other day. we were talking at the event, the gathering. So Terry Dow and he has a guy teaching Parker's Kempo at his school. So the three of us were getting something to eat. And we talked about the difference between dueling and self-defense. And I'm like, well, listen, Terry is a Superfoot Wallace guy. That's boxing in the ring. There's dueling. Parker's Kempo, really not good for that. There were some good fighters in that. And can they bang? They sure as hell can bang. But the system doesn't train them to do the sport. That's an extra thing. Parker's Kempo and Tracy's and all those other Kempos alike are defenses against attacks. They're teaching a self-defense program. Whereas like the Superfoot Wall system or kickboxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo, that's more of a dueling or a competitive system. There's a difference. Does stick size matter? Well, it depends on who she is, I guess. But,
there you go. Oh, I was going to go the other way too. Remember Tapado, right? We use a 48-inch, 40.
Yeah, like a 48-inch.
Yeah. So that would be another easily recognizable trend.
Sounds great. Like a great personal question. Yes, I knew he was
Right. Yep.
trying to
I knew he was going there.
Well, the thing is, I can control the comments with who gets seen, so I could beat him to the punch every time. Yep. Great way to respect everyone. Okay, good, interesting. The thing here is this: if we're there's the ideal size, and then there's the real size. Now, what are you training for? If you're training to, so my problem with once again, we got to get the F out. We're martial artists first, Filipino second. We're martial artists. We are martial artists specializing in martial concepts that come from the Philippines. Okay, we're still martial artists, and we shouldn't handicap ourselves by saying, well, we can't have nice things because we're Filipino martial artists. That's bullshit. Our material is just as good, if not better, than everyone else's. So stop with that. Right. Now, I think we're going to do a show, I think maybe with Miguel in there, why I have such disdain about people going to the Philippines to get trained, and yet I still go to the Philippines and do some training.
Depends on your goals.
Well, the short term was there's a lot of good people over there that you can train with. Well, actually, it's getting smaller all the time. But there's more bad people that fake it, and they can't make it.
You gotta watch out for that.
Yeah, and you can get sucked in.
Of stick and opportunistic weapons. One of the things I love training is those tire thumpers from your sheets. Now those are great to train with because talk about that's something that you could actually pick up.
Yeah. Well, and I've got an axe handle I like. I got multiple axe handles I like. I got the new shorter one. I got the full size one. And
could you maybe use a hammer?
I think, seeing that my tomahawk was the first thing I'd say is, even though we do tomahawk work, which is sexy, it's really a claw hammer.
Sorry, I'm priming Tim up here.
No, because there's other stuff too.
Yep.
No, it's not a hammer system.
Inside joke.
So, at the end of the day, and we went down. So we went off here. Okay, interesting.
Again,
what we got here.
It's okay.
Ideal size, real size, the best. And thanks. Hey, listen, Noah, no problem.
Absolutely no.
And Noah, when I come over to the Philippines, we got to hook up.
That's right.
I want to meet everybody.
We've done that. This is not an idle thing. We've done that. We've met people.
Yeah. Amen. Tiger Claw Century.
The 1 inch or the 3/4 inch. I like 1 1/8 is what I like.
1 1/4, 1 1/8. Yeah, I like a thicker stick. Sometimes 1 1/2.
Depends. Yeah.
Well, once again, what are we training? I like training. I love doing the Filipino art. I love the art. But if we're talking about realistic combatives, most people in Filipino martial arts don't train realistic combatives. They train historical combatives. And the skill development is great and it'll work and it's a lot of cool shit. But at the end of the day, if we're talking about, focusing on sombrata as a self-defense method against armed assailants, if you're not utilizing a tool that represents what would be used in the street, if the tool you're always using, and I did say tool, is always going to be a hunk or rattan, then you're fooling yourself because it's not going to be not here in the States.
Nope.
If you never train against a baseball bat or an axe handle and stuff of that nature, and with your weapons, and you're saying that you're teaching stuff that could be used here in the States, and you're not training against the stuff that would be used in the streets, or try to replicate that attacker.
Right.
So I want to do an episode on whether disarms work. Because I've been having this conversation lately, and I know it does work, but usually not in the context that everyone else is selling it as.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, you touched upon something that almost set me off here, and I held back. You should be proud of me. You said, hey, if you're using the sombrata to fight whatever blow. And I'm, you know how I'm going to react to that, right? Because we don't fight with drills. We fight with the skills that the drills might have given us, but we take pieces and apply them as the opportunity is recognized and presented.
So that's something that you and I are very, very strong about.
Yep.
Once again, we'll reiterate this to make sure that, because we're both saying the same thing here, our own way.
Yep.
Listen, drills are a bunch of martial techniques strung together, and they're cut short of their ending.
And they give you a context for you to get a lot of reps in and explore some of the implications, but you have to put in the work. There we go again. And actually, what happens in your drill? Did you freeze? No, you're there. Okay. There have been people say, hey, this part of the drill won't work, or that part of the drill won't work. And then they surprise themselves. They get in a situation and they didn't fight with the drill, but there was one little piece of what they did that they pulled out this thing that they never would have imagined worked. And it worked because they used it the right way, because they had put in the reps and they had the feel and the opportunity presented itself, and boom, it was there. So we do the work so that we don't have to think. Kind of like when you've been walking your whole life, somebody bumps into you, you magically adjust. Did you have to think about it? No.
Drills build skills. They're martial exercise.
Yep.
And there's a whole bunch of different things. Now, the drill itself is not going to save your life.
Right.
But the skill development may make the difference in a life-threatening situation.
Mm-hmm.
So we're also not saying that drills are bad.
Not at all.
No. I mean, trapping hands decadena, for those who don't know it, Hubbard, for lack of a better term. It's different, which Mr. Heltz and I talked about the other day.
Right.
ModernEscrima does not do Hubbard.
Yep.
So he's changing it. We do Hubbard and Praesus Arnis because we see the value of it. But it's the equivalent. Hubbard is a drill, sensitivity, coordination, stuff of that nature. It is not fighting. Could you use the movement of Hubbard to defend yourself with? Sure, you could use the movement of Hubbard to defend yourself. But the drill, if you just do the drill and you don't break down the material, how it would actually be worked and applied, it's useless. You heard me say it. Useless if you're thinking for that direct translation from drill to self-defense. But I mean, once again, how many people in the FMA world are thinking about, I'll talk another one. This one annoys the hell out of me. I keep talking about cosplaying. Okay, I'm sick of these people doing this wannabe John Wick bullshit. What's with all these concealed draws? I mean, tell me. I would love to someone explain to me the usefulness of drawing a blade that's under your shirt when the situation may not merit. Here we go. May not merit lethal force. I got an idea. Why don't you learn how to defend yourself without a weapon? This ain't worth shit if you can't deploy it. Oh, that's why I go to pull my shirt up and do this. Dude, while you're reaching for your shirt, I'm reaching for your damn throat. And I'm reaching for that hand that's going for that weapon. You're looking to play with yourself. And I'm taking you out. And just even if everyone's the same speed, you've lost because I'm going to you while you're playing with yourself. You're fondling your knives and all this other stuff. And I'm like, well, while you go here, my hand's checked. Boom, done. I'm not done. It's hard, easier said than done. But I mean, the thing here is, but once again, why are we training for all these use of lethal force that most situations in the street don't merit? Do you really want to go to prison that bad? If so, I got a few neighborhoods I can recommend you to go visit.
There you go. Get all the practice you want.
All the practice you want. Well, it's either go to prison or have a dirt nap. One of the two. Personally, if anything happen, I know how to get to non-extradition countries within a 48-hour period. So you need to have that in your back pocket. But I mean, really, and some of these people who are doing this, I don't think they got it in them. They're too nice people. We're doing all this thing. Once again, they're cosplaying John Wick. Okay, so let's look at this, and then we're going to probably wrap things up once you got something.
Yeah, we're going all over the place. I mean, but we made our points, I think, so.
So where they're not training for flesh wounds. It's only a flesh wound.
Hopefully not.
All sorts of good. Sort me out.
The Hubbard, yeah.
Yep.
Actually, there's a Hubbard movement in that one empty hand drill, what I used to call empty hand tappy tappy that Remy thought. There's one part of that looks a lot like Hubbard.
We'll talk about this. I'm going to see that will be a good episode. Batter's dry.
It's just going off on drills.
All right, there we go. And then, Remy used to do one block. Okay, so trapping hands is trapping hands is trapping hands. It's not trapping hands if you do the inward and block check counter if you do the outward. Because block check counter is block check counter in both directions. I've heard people say this. I'm like, how stupid. Do you really listen to what some people who are trying to fix stuff should be keeping their mouth shut and getting better lessons. Okay. Enjoy the conversation tonight. We are a community, must have support for each other.
That's the bottom line. You got it, Steve.
But in modern, if we do block check counter from a backhand perspective, how's that? Remy would do the block check counter pop, block check counter pop. He turned it into pushing hands. And that is part of Hubbard. Or, no, I'm sorry. Let's rephrase that. That is like Hubbard.
There you go. Like.
Okay. Lawyers are expensive.
Yep.
And then the drills have deep absoluteness that helps develop absoluteness. And then...
and it provides you a chaos context for you to explore some other things that you might insert. Can you actually insert it in the middle of motion?
And dude, and for those when I'm saying this, I am so much into drills. I love drills. I absolutely adore drills.
Yep.
Even though my Balintawak teacher, Monong Ted, didn't like us doing drills because you become predictable when it's patterned. Right. Which is why he didn't like the grouped methodology. And he told me that Anshan didn't like the group methodology. And people say, and remember, when you look at the group methodology, if you see Anshan express himself on the videos, because we got in it with someone and they keep sending us stuff, everyone around Anshan is doing grouped except for Anshan. And they say, well, look, they're the same moves. Well, they built the groupings on Anshan's moves. So, of course, you're going to recognize the moves.
Right.
But he didn't want to fall into being... I'm taking this from Ted Buat, the guy who was supposed to design it. And if anyone's with Bobby and they're offended by this, ask Bobby if Anshan did this, and what would Ted Buat say?
Right.
Because I know the answer to that one.
And listen, remember, saying who did what or who preferred what is not saying one's better than the other.
Stick and my pit bull, my everyday carry.
There you go.
Oh, and just for a record, you know what's funny? When I love people and they pull their weapon bags out and they show all their weapon bags, you know what really annoys me? When I see all these trainers, which I have a whole bunch of them too, but I don't see one baseball bat, one axe handle. I see nothing but talabongs and ganoon-tings and all this other stuff. And when I talk about combat, I'm like, cosplay. Listen, and I got a lot of. I'm the first one that wants to have all the different swords. Actually, I have a bunch of different swords on the wall. I got that shit. Trust me. But I also have a whole bunch of axe handles on my wall too. So, all right. Well, listen, we can go down. We've gone down the rabbit hole way too much. Good running. Good
There you go.
Hey, listen. You know what my everyday carry is?
Bye.
No. This is my everyday carry.
That's right.
Because this can't make it through metal detectors. So what do I do?
My everyday carry right here.
Yeah. So and Ty and I were in the middle of a street fight in Manila. And when all hell was breaking loose, 20, 30 people, no one was doing any kung fu fighting. It was Filipino martial arts. It was Filipinos being martial. And the weapon of choice were bricks and stones.
Whatever they picked up as they were rushing towards the fray, as we were walking through it and by it and away from it.
Yeah, we made sure that we put the armed guards in between us and them.
That's right.
Okay, so people train 2 to 3 hours a week. Only way to have a chance of drills, deer in the headlights, and that's why deers cause more accidents than anything else.
There you go. Well, no, actually,
drills,
that's actually
no skills.
I like that. That's actually, there's a good part to that, which is one of the reasons you could do drills, be comfortable with motion and activity and things up in your face and things like that, so you don't get deers in headlights. There you go. That's a skill right there.
We need to have skill development. We need to understand position recognition. We need to work on timing and coordination. And there's a lot of good things that drills offer us to work on, but we also have to make sure that we break away from the drill and actually work on the actual potential reactions that are not mapped out in drills. And the one thing I like, and I'll just say a closing note, like when I looked at the group methodology, which I add to my training, there's a shitload of missed opportunities in group methodologies. Because
if you only do the groups, yes.
If you only do the groups, because most of the people I see doing groups are they're I don't see, and I've watched testing, I don't see a requirement to know all the different follow-ups as in like each move, because once again, a drill doesn't take each move to the finish. So there's, I think, a lot of missed opportunities in balloons. Well, because the big thing is, okay, you got to know your 12 on the right, at least Bobby's side. You got to know your 12 disarms on the right side, your 12 disarms on the left side. So you have to put them into the grouping. Okay, so you have to do 24 disarms into a drill. All right, can you do those 24 disarms when I swing at you outside a drill with intent to hit you? And everyone focuses on what the test requirement is and not the more stuff. And then there's the LOL. Okay. So, and on that note, and I love my balloon walk when I say that. Okay. Love my balloon walk. So on that note, we're going to wrap things up. So do you have anything more to say on the topic?
Nope, but I don't have a finishing rant.
Okay. So here we go. 1, Renee Tungsten is coming back. We just have to schedule a day. 2, unfortunately, I asked somebody to be on the show that can't speak English, who watches the show all the time.
Okay.
Very articulate typing. And so we might, when I go to the Philippines, we might just have people do some demos.
Okay.
How many instructors keep up their skills is a question. Instructors in Groundhog Day mindset.
That's a good question.
Well, and for those who follow me on Instagram and stuff like that, you'll get pictures of me training. You'll get pictures of me working out in the gym. You get pictures of me doing a whole bunch of things, because at the end of the day, I got to keep this body functioning one way or another, so it doesn't fail me. But so Renee Tungsten said he'd come back, but he said that on the last show. I got Miguel Ruby. Yes, I am. Okay, our Thanksgiving, which is not yours. Black Friday weekend, we're doing a camp in Cambridge.
Oh, wow.
So Thanksgiving Saturday.
Okay.
So that is November. And if you watched if you would have watched the intro, you would have seen the event featured. The 26th is the event. So, actually I'm doing several things in November. So, but yeah, that's why I'm doing that. So we got Renee Tungsten. We've got Jason and I, Suru, Jason and I. Miguel Ruby from FMA Supply, myfmasupply.net or fmasupply.net. We have children and teens in Filipino martial arts. Well, children, teens / women in the Filipino martial arts. There's a couple of, I think there was a couple of things we were talking about. I don't know. Thought we said more at the beginning of the show. I could be wrong. But we got more peeps coming in. Oh, Coach Danny, who's not here tonight.
Yes.
And listen, I'm not going to be posting this stuff all over the place. We're going to start reeling it in. You'll see it on the 2 YouTube channels, and you're going to see it on the 2 Facebook pages, the 2 FMA Talk pages. One was FMA Talk, the other was FMA Talk Live. FMA Talk was the discussion board we used to have. FMA Talk Live was the podcast that I did with, it was mostly the project of Mark Basil and Frederico. I can't remember his last name right now. So the 3 of us used to do these. They primarily took the point. There were podcasts you could listen to on iTunes and stuff. So those are the 4 the 2 YouTube channels and the 2 Facebook groups. I'm not going to put on mine anymore. I'm not going to put on all these other places. funnel everyone into that. You'll see more announcements on this stuff, but we're funneling everyone into that. So that's about it. My eyes are onions, and my ears are ham, and I am smile of Pizza Jim. Okay. All right. Are we doing next week? Columbus Day, is that going to be rough for you?
I have that off, so maybe might be good just to, unless you want to do a Datu's Corner that night.
The week after, I'm going to be in Orlando for a week, or Florida for a week, which is going to be interesting. Aftermath, who knows? I mean, we can skip for 2 weeks if you want.
I can find out if you want. Depends on how much time you need.
I don't need now. Let's talk. Let's try to find out by Wednesday.
Okay.
So, okay. I don't really have a topic. I actually had a couple topics, but we kind of skimmed over them today.
And by the way, folks, we're open to any discussions that you might have triggered, or you had questions that you want to have us explore. Still open to that always.
Yes. We, like I said, and we will take names. If you're interested in being on the show, if you have something to share with us that is noteworthy, which doesn't take much because it's just us anyways.
That's right.
I'm going to shoot for the 24th if we don't do the 10th. So I'm going to see if Miguel Ruby can make that one.
Okay.
And then I'm going to see the following week we're taking off. It's Halloween.
Yeah, definitely take that off. Yeah.
Okay. Reno trip was amazing. And it's October. You're coming down to Jax, not October 10th. The camp in Jax is the 14th, 15th, and 16th. So I fly down on the Thursday, the 13th. I fly to Orlando because I'm flying home from Orlando. So I'm going to get a rental car, then shoot up to Jacksonville. And I'm going to be there, Jacksonville, till at least the 17th, maybe longer. Ernie and I are going to do some extra training. The Maya conference is in Orlando. Oh, thanks, Timmy. And then are we? Let's just do this here. So I have it. So the Orlando conference is then, or no, in Orlando I have the Maya conference, the elite conference. So I'm going to do that. We'll go from there. So so that's about it. I've got nothing else. Do you have any events coming up?
I don't. I'm not tracking anything right now. I'm so tired. Sorry.
Yeah, my event is going to Orlando, or no, Jacksonville.
There you go. I'm going to be up for your Halloween, your holiday party in December. I know that.
There we go. That's good. And I want to make sure. Hey, Timmy, I just sent you a friend request, and so that way we can communicate when I'm down there. Unless he doesn't want to be friends with me. Probably a smart move.
Yep, there you
go. Okay, descendants of Datu Bago Samporna. That's interesting. That's the logo of his that's the okay. Of course he wants to be friends. Got it. He laughed at me. Okay. That was a direct message, so okay. Yep, and we're friends. Yay! I got a new friend. I got 3 now. Okay. Datu Mama Bago Samporna. I am very interested on that. So that'll be a conversation that we can have when I see you.
There you go.
Okay, so listen, I'm good, you're good. We'll figure out a new rant. Listen, as always, everybody, please stay safe. Stay sane. That's from Mindanao. And don't take anything that we say too seriously, because we don't. We do, but we take what we do very seriously, but we don't take ourselves too seriously.
There you go.
Good night. Okay, Steve, no problem. Listen, as always, everybody, please stay safe and stay sane. This is Datu Tim.
Bikini Guy. Take care, everyone.
All right. Ciao.